Okay, so chat, listen to me. Yesterday or this morning, I woke up and I was watching streams, and Corey was like, "Hey, have you read the new lore from the cryptographs?" And I was like, "No." And then he said, "Well, Oryx might be coming back." Which, if you know me, I'm a huge, strong, heavy disagree on that whole Oryx coming back theory. Unfortunately for me, it appears that the lore that is unveiled, via the cryptograph is basically like the Hive Doctrine behind his followers thinking or believing that Oryx still deserves to exist, which is incredibly interesting. So basically, they talk about a whole different stuff. There's the Hive lamenting Oryx passing, and then there's like this rising tide of belief that, well, Oryx tricked us into defeating him, or allowed us to defeat him, or in Oryx being defeated, and then us taking his will and energy and stuffing it into a gun, and then using that gun to kill them was a way of Oryx using his will to sharpen his followers into the shape that they needed to be. Which is fundamentally sound according to Hive logic. Probably not Oryx's true intention, because Oryx was incredibly dogmatic, but also there are some other hints in there of ways that it could all work out, and it's freaking crazy. I'm actually kind of blown away. So essentially, this new lore from the Hive cryptographs is opening up a corridor for Oryx to return. So there's a couple of theories. We didn't, so we killed Oryx, and none of our fire team ascended to the throne, right? So, there's no Taken King T-Rex or Taken King Gathalion, right? That was not done. So that left a power vacuum for the Hive that they've sort of been fighting over. And part of this power vacuum, or a player in it, now is the followers of Oryx that believe, fundamentally that Oryx still deserves to exist. Which is awesome. We don't know if that's right or not, but we do know that Hive, like the ontology of Hive magic, is just, if something can kind of be known and believed and explained according to their thought, then there's enough power in that concept that, that it may be correct. It just has to be proven with tribute, which is, war and killing and everything else. Wasn't Tolan supposed to ascend to the throne? Well, that was so there was a theory that, Tolan is the one who's speaking about the power vacuum a lot and how we need someone there. And I'm sure that maybe one of Tolan's plans might have been that, but I don't think that definitely didn't ever happen. So I thought that was really incredible. They also bring up the fact that the other two Hive gods were killed and resurrected. And then they start arguing about, isn't being resurrected illustrating even more power after death and all this other stuff. So it's incredibly interesting. If you haven't had a chance to go check out that lore, it informs what's happening next in the universe. Some people, like Goth or Corey believes that this means that we're probably going to be fighting Oryx, perhaps, or a Shadow of Oryx or a Nightmare of Oryx in the dungeon. Yeah, but they both died true deaths and were brought back by recalling their nature, which is exactly what the followers of Oryx are doing right now. And that is, you know, much to my fault, right? I just simply thought that all of the Hive would accept that, oh, well, since Oryx is dead, Oryx didn't deserve to exist. Let's move on. But clearly there's a pathway back for him. So what we could be involved with, or what could be going on behind the scenes with the Hive, is that since Oryx was killed, whether he can be resurrected or not does not necessarily mean he still deserves to be the Taken King and sit on top of the tribute structure, right? So what we could be seeing coming soon is warring Hive factions between the three Hive gods, all vying to take that throne that has been vacated and will be sought after until occupied. So who fucking knows? It definitely changed some of my fundamental beliefs about the lore of the game, which I think is awesome. It's great. And it doesn't seem disingenuous to the lore at all. It doesn't seem like they're just pulling a Deus Ex Machina out of their asshole and be like, oh, look at that. It's all very logical. So I don't know what's going to happen next, but clearly there's some Hive infighting, you know, that needs to be alleviated. Savathun was killed and brought back a few times. I could see Oryx still being worthy if she could be considered worthy. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm excited for the future and the implications of that and the lore. I also thought it was really interesting that if this is in fact true, and Oryx's true intent was to be defeated and then become a tool with which to shape his own followers until he came back, that would mean that twice we as Guardians have been tricked by our own avarice and desire for power and strength into making the universe a more dangerous and awful place. Because Riven tricked us via her ambition, or via Last Wish. Our wish, our intent throughout that entire, all of those encounters, we are creating a wish. Killing Riven casts the wish, and the wish is, I wish to fight forever and continuously grow in strength. And that's why Riven keeps coming back. That's what released the curse. So, as I get crushed here, if Oryx was like, these people will probably be able to kill me, these Guardians, maybe even in my throne realm, but if I leave behind my story and teach them how to create me into a weapon, which is their default behavior, then I can be used by I can become a necessity for those who have defeated me. I can become part of their will and come back. I can reshape my following to become perfect, via this gun. Which, by the way, is you know, not accounted for currently. Just by the by. It's not accounted for. We lost the Touch of Malice when we lost our vaults on the assault on the tower. Yeah. So it opens up a lot of narrative pathways, and if they keep pressing on that issue, it would sort of reinforce my belief that in order to stop this, what we might have to do is destroy the darkness and destroy the Traveler, or sever our connection with the Traveler, because the one consistent symmetry in the lore is that light creates darkness, darkness creates light. They have to coexist. The darkness is telling us that now. There's a lot of guardians and that studied that, and warlocks that learned about that, and now it might be coming to fruition. So it'll be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what gets done going forward with the lore, because a lot of pathways opened that I find really interesting, and it doesn't just feel like, fuck it, we brought Oryx back because look at that, it's in a gun. They explained it with the lore in the game. So, like, one, bravo to Bungie and everyone who's writing the lore for that, and thank you. And two, it gives us a chance, and it gives older Guardians that maybe didn't, or newer Guardians that maybe didn't play Destiny 1, the ability to experience and interact with that lore as we all move forward.